Hello, farmers, and welcome to the harvest season. My name is Al,
I'm Kevin.
and we're here today to talk about basically just Animal Crossing.
You got
Woo!
him. I thought you were going for the farming games, but you pulled a fast one.
Well, I
But yeah,
gotta keep people on their toes.
that's true.
Gotta keep people on their toes.
And long-time listeners, if they recognize my voice, there's like a 75% chance it's about Animal Crossing.
That's true. We need to get you on for some other podcast.
It's all right. I'm
Anyway.
just here to complain.
Oh, I hope not.
All right. So what's been going on?
First of all, we have some feedback. So
Ooh,
we haven't had some feedback for a while, so it's always good when we get feedback.
because we're a
Um,
perfect show.
so I think I'll just read this email out and then I have a little response to it because I think maybe I didn't come across well in what I was saying in the last episode. But I'll just read out this email first. So thank you to Carl for emailing the podcast. Carl says, in the last episode of the podcast, Al mentioned that he found it strange that you could change a character's skin tone, which on the surface does sound strange. However, I think the presence of the hairstyle options brings legitimacy to the former. Lots of players of these sim-style slice of life characters like these options because we like making characters after real-life friends, pop culture characters, and iconic celebrities. Metopia's whole hook is based on this, in fact. I'm sure it's what the devs of that game had in mind. So I just want to make it clear, I am very pro character customization in general. I don't think that setting skin tones and hairstyles is a bad thing. Absolutely not. That is not what I was saying. It was in this one very particular circumstance. So for those who aren't aware of what we're talking about, so in the game Factory Town, part of that game is you have lots of workers who are doing things in your factory. And you might have, you start off with I think something like 10, and you go up to possibly hundreds of them.
Ooh.
And what we had mentioned in our original review of that game was that they were all white, and that wasn't great. And actually, that was something we had complained about initially.
I think I remember this actually.
Yeah, and I don't. So, and what they've done is quite clever, I think, in that the characters are randomly generated skin tones and hair colors and styles, and I think that's good. What I find weird is the ability to once your characters once you're farmers, right? Because they're not actually characters; they're just faceless people on your farm. Once they're generated, then you can change their skin color. That is what I find weird. This is an existing human in your game who already exists and they're there, and you can change their skin tone. That is what I find weird. Not anything else. I am 100% pro character customization, and I think that what they did in randomly generating the characters is very good. I just find it really weird that you can say, hey, that person that already exists in my game, I want to change their skin tone. That's what I find weird.
They're working on farms or factory because the name's Factory Town, but um
Yeah. It's kind of like, think of it like a Sim City type thing, but
mhm.
you are doing like farming things as well.
Okay, I
But it's
see.
kind of
Okay.
like I think it's using the word factory in like a loose term
General,
where it's not
yeah,
specifically a factory, but you are like
I see. Like an
generating
input output
objects.
type of
Exactly.
operation.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Well then how are you supposed to, if without this function, how are you going to accurately represent your poor laborers' skins burning to a crisp from the hot sun, Al? How?
um Look,
Look,
I I don't know.
what what I find more interesting is if you can get like hundreds of these guys, I mean, I don't know. I've never played Sims, but that seems like a lot of work. Is someone actually gonna go through and change every little dude's
Well,
skin tone and
yeah.
hair?
Yeah, it is one of the things I was wondering as well, like who's going to do that for all the characters. It seems like a feature that the being able to change them after the fact feels like a feature that they didn't really need to put the time and effort into. And actually, because like it just it just feels weird that you can go, yeah, no, I want to get rid of that. I want to change that person's skin color to white. Like it just like it's not
They
character
want
customization that's the problem. That's good. It's the fact that this person already exists in your game and you're changing their skin color. That's weird.
for the OG fans who were there at the beginning. They want that original experience again. I don't know. Honestly, to me, it just
Yeah.
sounds like Dev. It just happened to line up this way, and they were too lazy to change it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could argue maybe it's because people have their their saves already and they're not randomly generated at that point, and maybe they can go through and change them now that they've added that in.
There's that.
Which fine. I'm not. I just foresee like there are very few circumstances I see where you're going to like change the like it's not like this is it's not like Sims, right? Listener, it is not Sims. Don't think of it like Sims. Don't think of it like a normal farming game. Think of it like SimCity. It's like if you were playing SimCity and you could see a random person on the street and go and change their skin color. That's what it's like, and that's why it feels different to me. It feels weird. I think it would be different if no, actually, would that be different? If because it's like you are basically running a factory and you're employing people, right? Like
Yes.
I don't like you shouldn't be like selecting skin color of your workers, right? Like it's not like
uh,
you're I don't know. It just it's I hope I've got across to I am 100%
oh no.
pro character customization. I that is good,
We
and I think that actually the addition that they added, where the characters in the game are randomly generated with different skin colors and hairs, is good. That is that has like I literally said in the first episode, which I'll link in the show notes, that what they had there was bad. They were all white. That wasn't good. It's just the fact that you can change
yeah.
them later is weird. That I think I'm
Oh.
done. I'm done talking about that.
This is veering into dangerous territory.
Yeah, yeah. Let's not talk about genocide 2 episodes in a row. Um,
But thank you, Carl.
thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it. I hope I have made it more clear my
You
opinion on
probably
that.
didn't, but that's okay. He
Who
listens.
knows? Who
That's what
knows?
he should expect.
Maybe I'm digging myself in a deeper hole.
And that's what we really tune in for. I'm sure that's what Carl was hoping for.
Thank you, Carl, for your feedback. Listeners, if you want to send an email like Carl, you can do that from our website, harvestseason.club. Link in the show notes. And you can see if you send an email, you'll get it. It'll get mentioned on the podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.
So, this episode, we're going to talk about Animal Crossing, the update, and the DLC that just came out. Before that, we've got a few bits of news. I've not got a lot of news this week, mainly because I'm very tired. But we've got a few bits of news that we're going to cover. But before that, Kevin, what have you been playing?
I've actually done a fair amount of stuff lately. I finally went through Link's Awakening. Good game.
The
The
new one
Switch
or the
remake.
old one?
No,
The
the
Switch
Switch
one.
remake.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add to that. It was my first time playing it, and I enjoyed it immensely.
Ah,
Um,
good game.
you played it, didn't you? Al?
Yeah.
Yep, it's good.
It was my
Um,
second ever Zelda game.
ooh, that's a high bar. Pokemon Cafe, the little mobile. I think it's also on Switch. It's a little puzzle game. Its reboot, relaunch type thing in the last week, I think it was. It's called
Yep,
now
roughly.
Remix with that subtitle, and it is very, very good. I played that game pretty much since the beginning when it originally launched. And I like all the changes they made, except for one. It now has like a time-based stamina energy system, like a lot of other mobile games. So it's not the end of the world, but before it used to be, if you did a puzzle and you got it, you wouldn't use your energy or whatever, so you could just keep playing for hours
All
and
right.
hours if you were really good.
Yep.
Um, that's not the case anymore, but I mean, it's the
Sad.
start, so they're they're generous, and you can, add friends and do all that. So it's not the end of the world, but that's the only big drawback in an ocean of really good improvements. I won't get into detail over them, but just it's a good puzzle phone game. I really enjoy it. If you guys like that sort of thing, check it out.
Cool.
And let me think, what else have I been playing? Oh, World of Final Fantasy. Are you familiar with that one, Al?
World of Final Fantasy.
Yes, World of Final
I ha-
Fantasy.
I am not aware of that.
Okay, so it's came out a few years ago. I don't remember what year it was. It was for the Final Fantasy series 15th anniversary. And it was like a celebration type game. And so what they did was, they basically made a Pokemon from the Final Fantasy franchise. Because
Oh.
Final Fantasy has a lot of iconic monsters: chocobos, little chickens, cactuars, and Moogles. I don't know how much you know of Final Fantasy, Al, but I think a lot of people
Ah,
listening will probably recognize those names.
yeah, not I
Um,
don't know much about its specific things in the game.
mm-hmm.
I know what
Well,
Greg told me in the episode we had about Final Fantasy. That's about it.
uh, I mean, like, because like Final Fantasy is like every entry is like different and unrelated, but they have common elements like these characters and monsters. And so they made this anniversary game where you kind of just catch them and battle through with them. It's a Pokemon-like game. And they also included lots of appearances from characters from like all their games and whatnot. It's just a really fun, cutesy celebration type game. I'm
Cool.
really enjoying it. I'm playing on the Switch. It's good writing. It's Square Enix, so they're usually pretty decent at writing, and good voice acting actually. This is like an enhanced Switch re-release with voice acting and a whole lot of other polish. But yeah,
Right.
I've been enjoying that. Um, yeah, if you guys anyone
Fair
is
enough.
a Final Fantasy fan, go ahead and give that one a shot because it's really fun. But
Oh, they're all
that's
chibi-like characters.
uh, so it's interesting because yeah, they are chibi like characters, and like canonically they're chibi like because the main character can also transform into regular human types, and
Oh.
it's an in-game thing. Um,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and it's interesting to see them side by side like that, but that's how it works. They set it up that way. It's fun.
It's a
Oh,
gorgeous-looking game.
it is gorgeous on the Switch. I played it originally, the original version on the Vita years ago. So and they've really
Ah.
polished it up for the Switch. The music's amazing because Final Fantasy is really good at that too. Um, and one distinction, because there's an ocean of Pokemon likes. So you have a team of 6 characters in your party, right, for your Pokemon battles, but
Mm-hmm.
there's 2 ways to go about it, and the default is called stacking. So you have 3 characters or Pokemon stacked on top of each other. Um, and you have
Okay.
to fit them like a large one, a medium one, and then a small one, and then like all their abilities and stats combine. Or you can unstack them, and then you have a group of 3 little dudes at once. So it's an interesting
Mm.
mechanic, um, because like team building's different because now you're not just looking at individual characters what they bring, but how you put them together. Um,
Yeah.
and it's also just kind of cute just to see everyone stacked on top of each other's head. Um, but yeah, that's all.
Cool.
Like I said, it is a bit older, but I'm just glad around I got to it. What about you, Al? What you been up
Yeah.
to? What you been playing?
Um, I've mostly been playing Animal Crossing.
Oh,
Because
I guess I have been
before
too.
before the update, I was getting ready for the update, and now the update's out, so I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing since the update came out. What else? I've been playing the new Pikmin Bloom game, the Niantic Pikmin augmented reality game, which is good
Yes,
fun.
is it?
I have never played Pikmin before, so it's not because I love Pikmin. It's because I like augmented reality games. Um, and yeah, it's good fun. I like how it's much less uh, requiring of your time than
Mhm.
Pokemon Go or Ingress
Yeah.
are, or especially what's it called? The Harry
Wizards
Potter one
Unite.
that's dying. Yeah, that
Wizards
one.
Unite.
Um, Wizards Unite. Because it's like you do a couple of bits and pieces and then you can go for a walk and you can ignore it if you want while you're walking. and it just
Okay.
like it basically is based on your steps. And if you
Mhm.
ignore it for a couple of days and you just check in, you've got a whole bunch of stuff you can just like grab a whole bunch of items and get a bunch of power ups and stuff just because you did the walking. Like it actually, whereas in Pokemon Go, the walking really only hatches eggs. That's
Yeah.
basically it, right? Like you don't get anything else. Whereas the walking actually gets you things in Pikmin, which is nice. I like it. Um, what else? I think that's about it.
I mean, Animal
Um,
Crossing's a lot already with
it is. It is. Yeah, that's about it. Should we talk about some news?
Yeah, I guess we've been known to do that on this podcast.
So, just a few things to chat about. First of all, the Garden Story update's now live, except on Switch. I think it's coming soon to Switch. You know what these console ports are like; they take a little bit longer. So, if you've been looking for that, you can go get that now. Also, Moonglow Bay, which we talked about before, which is a kind of blocky looking fishing game, is now out
Yeah.
on Steam and Xbox.
Blocky is like Minecraft, not pixely. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
it looks cute. If you like fishing, we need more fishing games, I think. Um,
yeah. There's quite a few this year, I think. I've just not actually played any of them. Um, there was Luna's Fishing Garden as well, which looks great. Sure there was something else that I've forgotten. But yeah, this looks good.
right.
I do want to pick this up at some point, but I have not
It looks
taken the
very
time
cute.
yet.
Which is rare
Mm.
for a Minecraft-like art style, to be honest.
I think the colors and the lighting in it are really really add to it. It's not just like, oh, it's blocky. It's like it's blocky, but everything looks great as well. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of
like
the
a lot of these things,
Mhm.
because I think the thing about Minecraft is like, yeah, it's blocky, but like the textures never looked amazing, and it
No.
always just looked a bit meh.
Yes, absolutely. And like you can see a lot of the menus and text stuff. There's non-blocky art, you know, portraits
Yeah,
of things, and you can see how it translates to the block. So it's
yeah.
cute. Yeah, good on them. It does look like a fun game. Um, yeah, I might try it out too. Um, it's only on Xbox. Oh, if it's not on Switch, maybe not. But
Xbox and Steam.
well,
Xbox and Steam.
it's cute. People should at least check that out because it's on Game Pass. People love the Game Pass. So yeah,
Go get that Game Pass fishing game.
yeah.
We got another update on about Concerned Apes Haunted Chocolatier. So I'm not going to go through the details of it, but there's a blog post about the changes to the combat. So we'd noticed a few of the things in the original trailer, and he goes into more detail in this blog post about that. If you're interested,
Mm.
do you have any thoughts on Haunted Chocolatier, Kevin?
Uh, I saw the initial announcement. I haven't looked too much past that, but I mean, I'm excited because obviously Concerned Ape is talented at making games.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I am a chocolate fiend. I adore
Mm.
chocolate, and uh, that is the premise. Just sounds really fun. So I'll definitely be checking it. The haunted thing sounds fun too. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, what needs to be said about it, right? It's Stardew Man making another game that looks very good.
I
Um,
think one thing I think is the kind of big take from this blog post is um, explicitly says Haunted Chocolatier has a greater focus on combat. So if you don't like the combat aspect of Stardew Valley, I suspect that you're probably not going to enjoy this game very much. Um, but I mean, personally, I really like the combat in Stardew, and the additions and changes look to only enhance that.
oh,
So it certainly looks exciting to me.
okay. I'm indifferent to Stardew's combat. It was fine for what that sort of game. But if he's gonna put more focus on it, I guess if he, really does put more focus on it and upgrades and whatnot, maybe it'll be enjoyable. Um,
Yeah, I'm not saying necessarily that I was like really really enjoyed the combat. It's more like I think there are some people who actively dislike the fact that there is combat in Stardew Valley and will avoid it at all costs. It's like
mm,
that's kind of it takes away from the cam aspect of a
ah,
farming sim. which is totally legitimate. If that's not what you want, then that's not what you want. But I suspect this game won't be for you in that case.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, probably not. Gonna be haunted by all the bees you kill.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
haunted part.
There is a new enemy here, which is a massive bee. Yeah, there we go.
And
I think that's all
speaking
we've
of
got on that.
Concerned Ape making games.
Oh, yeah. The Stardew Valley board game is back in stock, and it actually still is currently in stock as we record.
Wow.
Who knows? Who knows whether it will still be in stock by the time this episode comes out? But there you
Did
are.
you
If you want it, go get it.
did you get it sorted out, Al, because you live in the far off lands?
I
Um,
haven't got it sorted out yet. No,
I mean, I
I
can.
still need to go and check our local game shops to see if any of them have got it on order.
I haven't played it yet. I heard good things, but yeah. Stardew Valley, the board game.
Yeah, Stardew Valley the board. It looks really good. I really want to get it at some point. But yeah, so back in stock. If you don't have it and you want it, go get it.
Hopefully, it keeps coming. I mean,
Uh,
it probably should. It's like printing money. Like,
yeah, yeah. It's just obviously takes a while to get it. It
yeah,
sounds like he ordered more this time because obviously, you know, it didn't go out of stock as quickly. So hopefully, it
yeah,
will just become easier and easier to get as time goes on.
yeah.
So that's all the news we have this episode. There have been a few bits and pieces elsewhere, but I thought they'd be more interesting to include in the next episode. So we're gonna shift our focus now to Animal Crossing.
Surprise! It's a farming
Ooh.
game now. We tricked you all. It is a farming game.
It was a farming game all along. So there's a lot to talk about here.
Yes.
What I
First,
thought
we should.
actually might.
No,
Sorry.
I just think first we should give a big thanks to all the people at Nintendo who listened to our 3
Mm.
episodes of Animal Crossing prior and addressed every issue and complained. That's not true,
Nearly. Nearly.
but yeah, but
Yeah, so I thought it might be we're gonna go through in detail kind of the things that we like and we dislike. But I thought maybe do you wanna give out like a very quick overview of what you think about the update and the DLC? We're gonna talk about both of them today. We
okay,
both have access to the
right,
DLC, but
okay. The
I've not played it very
DLC.
much.
Okay, well, yeah. First off, like the DLC, it's very easy to have separate thoughts. The DLC is very, very separate.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
for the main game update. So like my biggest complaint with this iteration of Animal Crossing has been a more overall general like direction. They kind of shifted the focus of the game, and this update doesn't change that. I never expected it to. But what this does do is bring a lot more to what New Horizons does focus on, the crafting and
Hmm.
customizing and building things. And it does feel a lot more enjoyable in that sense. At least, initially. Um,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I mean, I played for more than a year solid daily. And it lost a lot to do, but there's a lot more now to see and do. I think a lot of people, at least in our mutual friend circles, are also reinvigorated, so it's good to see.
Mm.
And it probably won't be hyper pace overdrive like when the game released because things have calmed down a bit, so I'll be able to enjoy this at a little more leisurely pace. So I'm excited. I overall I enjoy
Yeah.
the update.
Yeah.
And my thoughts on the DLC. Well, I'll save that for when we actually talk about it. I like it. I'll
Okay.
just say that
Yeah,
I
that's fair.
like it. Yep.
Cool. I guess my overall thoughts are that similar to yours, except that obviously, my complaints in the game have been different to yours.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like my complaints are kind of much more addressed by these updates than yours were.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
obviously, the stuff that you kind of miss from older games are the stuff that I really just couldn't care less about.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. We enjoy different things about them. So generally, I've been really excited about this. I love basically everything they've added, with one exception. I really like and will kind of adapt into my game in multiple different ways. And it's kind of made me rethink my entire structure of my island. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
rethinking what areas I have and what I'm going to do. And yeah, I really, really like that. Some of it was obviously we were expecting, but some of it was just completely like, oh my word, I did not expect that, and I love it, sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I
So
think one thing
that's been really
I
good.
just want to sorry. One more
No,
thing I just want to say, like hats off to them because it feels like they really addressed everything. Um, just like every complaint I've ever seen was pretty much addressed. Um,
yeah.
so good on them.
Cool. Well, let's go through. I've kind of got a vague order of how we're going to chat about things, and we might jump about, but um, let's start off with the cafe because that is what I find it really interesting. Because looking back at both the teaser and the actual direct,
Mhm.
they really hyped up the cafe, right?
Mhm.
With
Yeah.
Brewster, right? It was like a good first 5 minutes of the 25-minute direct was about the cafe. And it was
Yep.
the only thing that was hinted at in the teaser, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I guess mechanics wise, you you add a cafe to the museum. I say you. We basically don't do anything. All we do is go find Brewster and say, do this, and he does it. Well, him and
Blathers.
Blathers do it. And so my thing about the cafe is probably the reasons why I'm a bit meh on the cafe are probably the reasons that you'll like it, I suspect.
Yep.
Um and that's that it for me, it doesn't really add anything to the game. And this is my notable exception that we're saying. It doesn't really add anything to the game because what it's adding is stuff that I don't care about, right? It doesn't really do anything. It's just about kind of the the backstory and the characters and the kind of just the casual calm atmosphere of the game, which I'm not saying is a bad
Mhm.
thing. It's just I went in there, I invited Isabel, we had a coffee, and I went, okay, I'm done with that now.
Yep.
you know
Yeah. Yeah, the cafe functions pretty much as it always has. Like yeah, you're pretty much on spot on. Like all the things you like indifferent about or don't really care about. Yeah, I'm all about. It's just a nice little touch of personality that I really enjoy. Um, one thing I haven't checked or looked through though, can you do orders for? Can you work at the cafe? Do you know if that's in Al?
I hadn't seen anything about that.
Mm, because that was a
So
little thing
from
they
what I can see,
introduced.
you
Mm-hmm.
can buy some coffee and drink it. You
Mm-hmm.
can invite anyone to it if you have an amiibo or amiibo card of them, and sometimes people will just appear as well. As
Mm-hmm.
far as I know, that's all that you do. I don't think there is any other mechanic to it.
Huh. Okay, that's interesting. Um, well, that's, I mean, yeah, that's not the end of the world, but okay. But yeah, cafe, it's pretty, people who know about it, it's exactly what you expect, more or less. So hate it or love it, I guess that's just up to personal preference.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Um,
I will say
and
that I'm not
mhm,
massive even though I'm not massively bothered about this. I think it is, and I'm not going to spend any time really in there. What I am enjoying is just scrolling through the Animal Crossing Reddit and seeing the little things that people pop up with because I do think they're nice. Like, oh,
yeah.
when you invite Flick, he brings along CJ and they
Oh,
talk
really?
about stuff. Stuff like that's quite cute, right?
Oh,
I'm
that's
not going to
cool.
spend the time to find out these things, but it's
Yeah,
quite fun seeing other people experience them and saying, here's a fun thing. Like people
yeah,
are kind of condensing down the interesting parts so I can find them on
yeah.
Reddit, you
The
know?
TLDRs.
Yeah.
Um, one thing I did want to note, you're super right. They focused on that as the selling point for the whole update. I think it just because it was one of the biggest things people were craving because it was a long time Animal Crossing thing totally missing, and there were hints at it,
Hmm.
from data mining and even a line or two from dialogue. I think there was, but it's here, and we're all happy or just ignoring it. It's easy to ignore, it's just in the corner of the museum.
I think that's the thing. Like, I'm not annoyed about it. I don't dislike it. It's just,
Hmm.
it's there. That's
Yep.
fine. Like, I'm glad it makes other people happy. And I'm just going to mostly ignore it. I'm fine with that. I don't have an issue with it.
But one thing that did come with it, because when Brewster comes along,
Oh,
both in mechanics and in game canon, uh, comes along gyroids. My wrath has been
gyroids.
satiated.
Oh,
Gyroids.
my word, Kevin. when we discussed in our, I think probably the last Animal Crossing episode we had together, we
Yeah.
talked about gyroids, and I was like,
Yes.
tell me about them, why should I care? And I wasn't massively convinced by your explanation, and I don't
Uh-huh.
know how much, you might have to tell me how much of this is new, but these things, they
Yes.
are just so good.
Yeah.
And like, I have too many of them, right? Just now, because
No. No, you don't. No, you don't.
I did a bit of time traveling. So I do have like 10 of them. But my work, I find it really hard to explain why I love them. But just
'Cause they're
looking at
great.
just my orchestra of gyroids just sitting
Yeah.
there, bouncing around, shouting at each other,
Um,
they're so fun. They're
Yes,
so varied. There's so many of them, and they're all so unique.
that's the appeal. That's exactly it. Um, oh, they're great. They were revamped a little for this iteration. They're all kind of tiny now. Um, like doll figure sized. In past Animal Crossing games, gyroids would actually come in like, so there would be, let's say, I don't know, a squeakoid, something like that. You would have that, and then like 3 other versions in different sizes that would make different like pitches of the same sound.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I haven't seen that in this one, which is interesting, but
No, they
that's
all look to
okay.
be the same.
Yeah,
It looks like
yeah, that
just color, I think, is the only difference between them.
yeah, but that's okay. Because the designs are a lot more varied and nifty.
Yeah.
Because in previous iterations, they weren't samey by any means, but they were a lot more uniform, or you could see, like the same design principles in the gyroids. But here they're kind of all over the place. You can have one with like little hair, one that looks like a pig, one that's tall and lanky. It's great. I know gyroids are great, and the actual mechanical little music sounds that they make is awesome. It's
It's not
like you
just
said.
that, but if you play music next to them, they dance
Hmm.
along and make it in time to the music as well.
Oh, do they? That's so
They do.
good.
I
Because but
know.
oh, that's amazing because you before you had to do that yourself. You just kind of pick one and kind of time it when you started it.
No, they all do it. They all
Oh,
synchronize. It's so
oh, that's
good.
the best. Oh,
It's such a
um,
stupidly small thing. I don't know. Is this? Maybe this is how someone feels about sitting in the cafe with Mabel or whatever. I don't know, but I
no,
love the
this is
tiny
great.
little.
This
It's
is why I love
so
gyroids.
they didn't need to do that, but they did, and it's amazing, and I love
You
it.
can hang them on the walls on a little shelf,
Yes,
so you
you
can just have a
can.
bunch of them and not take up your floor.
You
Oh,
can have
that's the
a
best.
terrifying gyroid room.
Just the wall staring at you. Not even on, just staring.
Oh man,
Oh man, yeah, I love them. The first one I got was called, I think it was called the Squeakoid. It was one of the ones they showed on in the direct. It's like a little small one, white one with like rainbowy hair, feathers. It was super cute, super fun. I don't know, I'm
yeah,
super happy. I can't wait to discover them. It's cool you can kind of grow them. That's new. You bury a little
yeah.
fragment and you get a surprise.
Yeah, so there are two ways you can get them. So either you can go on Captain tours, which we'll talk about
Hmm.
Captain in a minute, and you dig up fragments and then you take it back and you bury it and water it, and then the next day dig it up and it's
Hmm.
a gyroid. The other way you can get them is if you've already had a gyroid, and it rains on your island, the next day there might be some buried around the place, fully grown.
Yep. Yep.
So
The rain
that's
thing is
cool as well.
usually how they worked in the past. But
Right.
it'll be fun. I hope there's a lot of them because gyroids are great.
There are so many of them. I've looked.
Good.
It's insane.
Good.
I don't think, and with the 10 I've got, I've not had a single duplicate yet.
Yeah. Yeah, oh
And
man,
I
that's great.
and I think they have like 5 to 7 different colors depending on which one they are. So there's so many of them.
It's perfect. That's perfect. That'll keep me going for a while. I love gyroids. I'm so happy to see them back.
Love them. They're great.
And as you
Um
hinted at,
yep,
Captain. He's back.
Captain. So Captain is a returning character then. That
Yes, he
is
is.
what I'm led to believe.
He's been here since the beginning, and generally some sort of commute guy. He started off with a boat, and that's what he's best known for. Um,
Yeah.
And now he's at the pier, the dock that you have in your town.
Yeah. So I guess the easiest way to explain it is it's like the Nook Miles tours.
Yep.
You go up to Captain, you give him 100 Nook Miles, and he'll take you to a random island. But the couple interesting things. So one, obviously, you can find gyrod fragments there. Interestingly, every single time I've been, there has been one gyrod fragment in the ground on the
Yes, I have
island.
also seen that.
I don't know whether that is just how it is, or whether the chance of that is very high,
I
or
would.
whether it's like until you get to a certain amount. I don't know, but it does seem to be the case that that's what's happening.
I'm guessing it's every time. That's my
That's
guess.
my assumption as well, especially as you're limited to one captain per day.
Yes, which
So
I
it's
like,
like you're
by the way.
basically limited slash guaranteed to one gyroid a day,
Yeah,
unless it rains.
yeah.
And the other differences between this and the Nook Miles tours is that you can have different kinds of islands. There are some that are the same, but you also can get different seasons, different times of day. So
You
you
can
can
get
access, things like
Mhm.
DIYs from other seasons,
Yeah, you
and
can get the
you can
actual
get,
seasonal DIYs, like
yeah,
because there's also a bottle on the beach. So
yeah,
you can usually pick up a DIY, and if you find like a cherry blossom island, you can pick up one of those cherry blossom DIYs if you missed one, which is nice because some
yeah,
of those were hard to come by. There's also the shooting
yeah.
star island where you can just find star
They're,
fragments buried, I think, which is really cool. Um,
it's not. They're not buried. They're in the rocks.
oh,
Um,
okay.
but yes, and you can obviously then prey on the
Yeah.
wish on the stars, and it counts like you were doing it back home as well, which
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah.
I
Because
haven't come
those
across one of them in my
uh,
10 different
mm,
excursions, sadly.
I haven't either, but I look forward to it because those are really cool, the star fragments and the stuff you can
Yeah.
make with that. But
There's
yeah,
also like a
Captain.
money island, I believe, and stuff like that.
Oh,
So there's more varied
yeah, variation.
islands, which is cool.
Which
Hmm.
is what I thought the mystery tours were gonna be from the very beginning. So it's nice to finally
Yeah.
see this fully realized. Um,
Yeah, it was kind of like they were kind of halfway there with the
yeah.
Nook Miles tours. And someone pointed out it's quite funny that, an airplane can only get you to the same season in hemisphere as you
Uh-huh.
are, whereas Captain and his tiny boat can get you to the other side of the world.
It's
Um,
his song. It's the power, it's the magic of his singing as you get there.
yeah,
Transports you to a magical
my
world.
head canon is that he actually knows of areas that are in like kind of biome bubbles or
Yeah.
something. So he's not actually taking you further. It's just that he knows because he talks about, in one of his songs, he talks about having charted the waters. I think he just
Yeah.
knows a lot and knows of magical places.
Look, he's been around since 2001. He knows things. He's been sailing for a while.
And it's the
So
sort of stuff that you would see from a boat and not from the plane. It's
exactly.
just knows
Uh,
his stuff.
yeah. One disappointment with camping.
Oh no.
So yeah, and it's not actually with camping or anything of the mystery tour. I'm quite content with all that. It's what's something that didn't come along with him. Um, so camping, from the beginning he was an interesting fella. He was a very bachelor type, let's say, shall we?
Oh.
Um, and he always talked about the ladies and whatnot. He was colorful, let's say, in that sense. Until New Leaf, the 3DS predecessor, where he finally hitched and had a family. Um,
Oh.
the island on New Leaf, the separate island from your town, you met his whole family. He had a wife. You met his mother, and he had two
Hey,
daughters.
hey, Kevin, do you want to know
Yes,
something?
yeah.
You want to know a spoiler?
You go ahead, hit me.
If you invite him to the cafe, he brings his family.
Oh, no! I take it back. It's all good. Oh, his family's great.
see
Oh,
what you're missing from just randomly scrolling through the Animal Crossing Reddit.
yeah. Yep. Oh, I gotta do that ASAP. It's a shame, like, they don't have, a function or you see them or anything, but that's great. Oh, that's great. They're actually in game still.
Yep. They didn't
Um,
forget about him, don't worry.
oh, okay, never mind. Captain's great. All right, all's good. We got the song, we got gyroids and singing.
I,
That's all I want from
I
Captain.
will say I will tell you my one disappointment and then I will back it up with the really good thing about Captain. But so my
Yeah.
slight disappointment is I'm a little bit annoyed that it's just another thing to spend your Nook Miles on because, oh my word, I'm so bored of trying to get Nook Miles, right? I'm out of Nook Miles and it's like, oh, you have to plant some flowers and talk to your villagers. And oh my word, just let me pay the man, right? Like, I'm sure he'll take my money. Just let me give him my money. Why does he care about Nook Miles? Why would he care? He's not employed by Nook. Why would he care? It doesn't make any sense. Let me pay him, right? Or at least let me buy Nook Miles, right? I'm so fed up of the Nook Miles. They're fine early game, but I feel like there should be a way to more easily get many of them late game, right? Just let me do it, please, right? There's too many things to spend it on. But what I will say is you can clap and laugh at his songs on the journey.
Yes. It's great.
So
it's great. Well, I don't know. I can't complain about Nook Miles because I'm sitting on 600,000 of them. I believe.
What?
Al, I
That's
was
nearly 2
playing this.
years of doing
I
one
was
captain
playing-
every day.
I was playing every day for over a year. I stopped like in October. It was the first time I finally stopped.
I just don't understand how you get so many. Like,
I talk to my neighbors.
I have 10.
Check my fossils. I do dailies, Sal. I just this was all the stuff I was conditioned to do for even before Nook Miles.
You were doing the dailies every day and you weren't actually spending any of them.
No, I ran out of things to spend. But anyways.
Well, they solved that. There's so many things to spend them on now.
Well.
Anyway.
So,
I'm sure
one place Captain won't take you, and you don't have to spend, well, actually, no, I don't think you spend Nook Miles there, but is a different island. Harvey's Island.
Finally, Harv's Island is useful.
What are you talking about? They had the delivery service at Harv's Island.
I don't care. I don't care about the photos.
No, the delivery. Remember how they added the delivery? You could send stuff from Harv's Island to your main town, but only at Harv's Island?
Yeah, and what would be you didn't get anything there.
I know.
It doesn't. I don't understand it. Whatever, right? It's especially funny because of one of the things they added on Harvey's Island is a way to access your home. It just why did they add that feature? I don't understand. Right, no, we're going to ignore that weird, that's not part of this update. We're going to ignore that weird feature that they added only. It feels like a bug, right?
Other mystery islands.
Well, this is the thing. I'm sure when they announced it was implied that it was any island. It was almost like it was meant to be any island except Harv's Island, and they just flipped the if statement. So it's only Harv's Island. Whatever. I don't care. Right, we're ignoring that. We're talking about the update. So Harv's Island is useful now. So the way it works is you go to Harv's Island, and he's like, "Oh, I want to open a bunch of co-ops." Great. All for co-ops, but also pay us lots of money to open the co-ops. Not quite sure on the logic there, but whatever. I have enough bells.
Yep. It's 100,000.
You basically pay 100,000 bells per shop.
One per day.
And one per day. We're all good though. I've got them all now. And then they'll open them. So there's Leaf. There's Red. There's what's his name, Mr. Dude with all the clothes?
Kix.
Yeah, Kix. You've got Reese and Cyrus, who will do some customizing of things, which I love, especially as can customize your gyroids colors, which is great.
Yes. They basically do all the stuff you can't do at the bench, right? Like anything that comes in variations that you can't change yourself.
Yep. Which is really good because it makes it simpler to get like the lighthouse in the right color that you wanted. So good.
Yep.
Then there's Tortimer, I think, who gives you access to your home storage.
Who is not dead. A lot of people thought he was dead. He was old at the beginning of this franchise, man.
Does time even pass?
But no, Tortimer's alive.
You also have Sahara, who will do Sahara's thing, and Katrina, who will do Fortunes, which I need to know whether that
Yay.
actually matters or not.
I don't I haven't obviously I haven't time traveled, so I haven't opened a lot of these shops, so I don't know how Katrina functions, but normally in past games she gives you a fortune. Usually you have to meet like a condition like dress up with a certain item or something like that, or sometimes you just get bad luck and it'll influence events like how much money you can get from your money rock, maybe stuff
Right.
villagers will give
Okay.
you. It's usually money related. Um,
Yeah. So the only the luck thing is something that I've seen, but like a load of it just seems like so insignificant,
yeah,
especially in late game, which you're
yeah,
only going to get Katrina in late game because it costs 100,000 bells.
yep.
Eh,
I
eh.
mean, I mean, some could argue that maybe all of this should have been at the beginning, but
Well,
regardless.
yeah,
But
that's
anyways,
a whole other discussion.
yeah, one thing to note,
We
or at
can,
least from what I've seen so far, that the the shops vendors that actually sell goods, they keep their inventory for a few days. I would guess a week.
well, so it's not quite that simple. So it seems like there's a smaller pool of inventory that it rotates through. So I went to Leaf one day, and I was only paying attention to crops. Wasn't paying attention to the flowers, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
not 100% sure about that. But he had two. He had was it carrots and tomatoes, and then the next day he had pumpkins and carrots, and then the next day he had pumpkins and carrots again. And then the next day had pumpkins and tomatoes. So it seemed like he had an inventory of three that he was cycling through.
Uh-huh.
Um, so it wasn't just the exact same stuff every day. Now, I don't know whether that is limited so that you can't just get everything by going to Harv's Island, and then you have to actually access him on your island. Because when he came to my island,
Huh.
he had sugarcane and corn.
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting.
So I wonder whether it's actually just you'll only ever be able to get some of the things on Harv's Island, so that you still interact with him when he comes to your island.
That
Possibly.
that makes sense. I don't know. I think we have to see more because Leaf is one
Yeah,
example, but
we'll
like
see.
Leaf's pool is already pretty limited. I'm like looking at Kicks
Yeah,
should have a bigger pool in general, so we'll see.
I have not interacted with Kicks. I will tell you that Red will have two items. If you buy one the next day, it will be replaced by something else, but the one that you didn't buy will still be there.
Yeah, and they're all
If you
legitimate
don't
on Harvs, I believe.
No,
No?
they're
Okay.
not all legitimate. I've had two fakes already. Um,
Good
I've had two
old
legitimate
Red.
and two fakes so far. Um, if you don't buy either of them, the next day they will both still be there.
I
What I
don't
don't
know.
know is whether they will eventually recycle.
Well,
Because I didn't leave it very long to check that.
uh-huh. The only one I can speak to is Kicks because I opened his first, because I didn't realize it was one per day. But
Yeah, that was the same. I did Katrina first because I was just doing it left to right, going round. I was
I
like,
was
I've got my 7,000. Let's get this
right?
done. And then I was like, oh,
Exactly.
well, if I'd known that, I would not have done Katrina first.
Exactly. I went right. I was going right to left, but it's exactly.
Yeah.
But all I can say for Kicks is the first day he opened, he had, his usual wares of accessories and shoes. And I bought some stuff. The
Yeah.
next day, I did buy some stuff, I'm pretty sure. The next day, I don't think his inventory had changed at all. So that's why I thought it was gonna be like a weekly
Okay.
thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I have time traveled quite a lot, but it's mostly because I was trying to sort out the rocks on my island. So I did less than a week of going to Harv's
Priorities.
Island every day.
Well,
Look, I finally got the rocks sorted, all right.
but
I'm
overall,
done
I
with them
mean,
now.
finally, for now, until you get the itch again later.
Well, yes, for this design.
But overall, Harv's Island's great. It's great
Yep.
not just because of the mechanics, having all these more things to collect and be available, but like it's just fun seeing all these characters, especially for longtime fans. A lot of these were missing faces or face we see a little more, we wanted to see a little more regularly, and all of them together. Harriet
Mm.
is also there. We didn't mention that. She'll give you a new hairdo a day.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
But
If
yeah.
you care about hairstyles, then that's useful. The nice so she'll change your hairstyle and then
Mhm.
say, "Do you like it?" And you can go, "No," and she'll put it back to original. But
Do you
presumably you've
keep it?
then learnt that hairstyle.
Yes. Yes, you do. Um, and I believe hers are exclusive to her, so it's
Oh,
cool for
are
you to
they
keep them.
interesting?
Yes, they are. Um,
Cool,
so
great.
yeah, Harv's
Another
Island,
thing to
good fun.
collect. Yes. Speaking of things that are fun, we've got more farming. So nobody's surprised because I still will never understand why on earth they did this the way they did it. But we got pumpkins last year,
Uh-huh.
and then we got all of the rest of the crops this year. You're like, okay, fine, whatever. So we're now up to 6 crops, I think. We've got carrots, tomatoes, potatoes, sugarcane, wheat, and pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
Just did that off the top of my head there. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
I think it's fun. I mean, they work. It works exactly the same way as pumpkins do.
They're
You get a
pumpkins, yep.
start, you plant it, you harvest it after 3 days,
Water it.
depending on how much you water it. Gives you
Yeah.
certain amount of crops. That's it. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting any more of that.
Yeah, no, of course not. But
My only thing I would say about this is it would have been nice if we'd had a large, like 6 crops is fine, but it's not very many.
I get, yeah, it's not in the long run, but I mean, you can make a farm on your town now, like a proper farm.
Yeah.
I made a small one. That's cool.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm definitely not complaining about it in general. And obviously, if there were more, it would mean that my farm would have to be bigger. Because I've got to
Right.
have everyone. I've got to have a little square of each crop.
Yep, of course.
But I like it. It's nice.
Yeah. And what's also nice is what you can do with these crops because they've now
Yes,
introduced cooking.
cooking. Yeah, because they absolutely. I mean, it's like the gyroids, right? Like, there's a bunch of stuff that they added in around it that they absolutely could have just ignored,
Yep.
and we would have been disappointed because it was quite limited. But nobody would have been like, "Oh, I can't believe they didn't do this. It's dreadful." It's nice. The
I would have
cooking
been like that.
so unnecessary, but I love it.
It's great.
It's basically DIYs but with food,
Yep.
right? It's so clever.
It's great. I think all the signs were pointing to it before the update because we had they were introducing pumpkins, right? A crop. The whole Turkey Day thing was basically
Yeah.
a cooking event. Just cooking didn't exist back then. Um,
Ooh, I wonder whether there's going to be more stuff around that this
I
year,
don't know.
or
I'm
whether it's
very
going to be the
curious
exact
because
same
they
event.
released it right
Oh.
before Turkey Day, so it's very possible, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
here's
keep
finding
getting
out.
confused, by the way. I keep
Yeah.
getting confused that it's Turkey Day is not Christmas because
Yes.
turkey here is the Christmas food
Uh
because we don't
well,
do Thanksgiving.
I'm calling it Turkey Day because that's the in-game name, right? It's Turkey Day
No,
in Animal
I
Crossing.
know. You know, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I just keep every time the it comes up, I get confused because I'm like, why is it in November? Turkey. I don't. Anyway, whatever. It's thanks. Just got to keep it
Yeah.
in my head, right?
Thanksgiving.
It's a
Yes,
thing
whatever
that
you want
doesn't
to call it.
exist here.
The Franklin Day. But yeah, no, cooking's great, DIY, and it feels a little more dynamic than DIYs because it's not the
Hmm.
same 5 materials. There's actually a large variety. There's
Yes.
fruits, there's crops, there's
Yeah.
even fish. You learn DIYs from catching fish.
Yes, that was good fun. You get you reel in a fish and it's like, oh, I just thought of this recipe, which is really fun.
Yep.
There's lots of different ways to get the recipes because you can get them through. There's some you can buy. There's some you get from getting things, and I think there's some that you can
Neighbors.
get in balloons.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and
that's true.
neighbors, yes.
Yeah, neighbors will be cooking
So it's
instead
kind
of
of
DIYing
basically,
now.
basically every way you can get normal DIYs, you can get cooking recipes as well,
Yeah.
which is fun.
And you can, in fact, eat all your food you make like the fruit, and it'll give you the same benefits, from what I understand.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think cooking is as good as it was ever going to be.
yeah,
I don't really have a complaint. It certainly doesn't feel lacking. There's a lot more to it as well. Like farming only has 6 crops, but cooking has a billion recipes.
a
So,
billion. Like, there's so many recipes you can't display
yeah.
them all. It's and all they put a lot of work into modeling those food items because they all
Yeah.
look great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot that must have had a team just working on the food models,
Absolutely.
the meal models.
It's good. It's some good, strong video game food. But that's fun. Um,
Another thing that I suspect Kevin will like, although maybe it's very limited in what it is, and therefore you won't care, but something that
uh
actively annoys me, is that you can now be invited to villagers' houses, or they can just like pop in on you.
yep.
Uh that's a thing.
It's
That's
a
an annoying
thing.
thing.
It's a returning thing. Um,
Just right. You
it
talk
is
about it
not.
first, and then I'll talk about why it annoys me. On
I
you
mean,
go.
like I can imagine what's gonna annoy you because. But anyways, this was again a returning feature. One of my bigger complaints of the game overall was how the implementing of the villagers was, which still has a lot of issues. But this is definitely a way to remedy it. A little more interacting with your neighbors. You can, yeah, they can have a little thought bubble and ask you to come to their house out of nowhere. And you can buy an item from their house, which is nice if you want to say maybe redecorate a little or get a weird item that they put in their house. You can try that. That's nice. Or they can also, you can just be chilling in your house and all of a sudden they'll come in and intrude. Um,
Yes, they will.
yeah. And I like visiting their houses. The way they did them visiting you isn't as enjoyable because, uh, I mean, I've only had it happen once or twice, but like there isn't much on that. They bring you an item, I think, and play a little small mini game, which is it's okay, I guess. Um, but that's it. They don't even again, it feels a little hollow. Because in
Hmm.
previous games when they did visit your house, you could at least take them on a little tour to the different rooms, but that doesn't happen here. They'll just chill out in the main room, and
Mm.
you just pretty much wait awkwardly until they leave. Um, but yeah, go ahead, Al. Rip into it, tear into it.
Yeah, I think this actively annoys me rather than like the cafe where it's just like, ah, it's fine, but whatever, I don't care. And the reason it actively annoys me is like every so often it interrupts my gameplay and it's really annoying. Like I'll just be in my house organizing my inventory or trying to rearrange my house and they're like, oh, hey, I just decided to pop in. And you're like,
Yep.
oh my word, go away. Why are you here? Right? I think that personally, the way I would prefer they would do it is like if you're talking to them, they
Yeah.
might randomly ask, "Oh, hey, do you mind if I pop round?" And
Yeah.
you can say yes or no,
Yeah.
right? Because then I can just not talk to them and they'll never come round, and that would be great. It's
It,
just, I don't know. Maybe it's just me that gets annoyed by that, but it's the
Al,
actively like interrupting your gameplay that annoys me about it.
what if I told you in past games, not only did they
No.
do that, but
Oh.
you could schedule when you wanted them to come?
What?
They would,
Oh.
or it would work both ways. In previous games, they would say, "Hey, you want to swing by my place?" Or, vice versa. "Yeah, I want to go to see how your house is doing. What time should I go?" And you could input the time and set an appointment.
I'm annoyed. They
And
had the way to
they
make this
they
better,
had
and they just
it.
didn't bother do. Oh.
Nope.
Whoever made that decision, you're bad. Don't make that decision again. Thank you.
I mean, sometimes they had the randomly pop in too, but it was a lot. It was a lot more uncommon than asking you.
It,
Um.
it seems to be so frequent. Like the only times it's not happened to me is when I've literally popped in, thrown
Yeah.
something in my storage, and walked back out again.
Yeah.
Anytime I've spent more than 10 seconds in there, one of these come along, and it's so annoying.
I haven't played as much as or done time traveling, but from just the little bit I've seen, I agree though, it looks like they're doing it a lot. The frequency of the visits, both asking you and visiting you. Which I
The
hope that could get
the one
annoying real
thing that
fast.
is quite funny is, so if you're in the main room, they'll just like walk in. If you're in one of the other rooms, they'll shout at you from outside basically and say, "Oh, if you're in, come and let
Uh-huh.
me in." And then
Yes.
if you just don't go, they'll
Uh-huh.
like 30 seconds later or something about, "Oh, I guess you're not home." And that's it.
You could just
It's
hide.
just
You got to do
you
all
can
your
just ignore them
organizing.
and they'll go away.
Oh my, are you? Oh, now there's your strat. You just have to avoid your main room from now on forever.
Oh
Oh,
dear. I wonder if you can turn off your lights and they won't come in. Nobody's
oh,
home. I
oh
need to try
man,
that.
that's something. Oh,
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's kind of like it's a little bit towards the kind of idea of making them more kind of whole, but it is pretty shallow. I
yeah,
didn't realize they didn't go into other rooms. Because like the only couple of times they've done it, I've just stood there until they left. Um,
yeah, no.
it just made them feel
That's
awkward.
that's the worst
Um,
part because like at least if they come over and follow you to the room, it's like, oh well, at least they can feel like a little mini tour, give myself a reason to see the room I haven't seen in a while or whatever. But
yeah, it's
oh
it's a weird. I don't know why they didn't. I just kind of assumed that's what would happen.
no,
That,
no,
that seems weird that they didn't do that.
no, I just hop, yeah, just have to awkwardly stand, wait for them to leave. Um, oh, but
Yeah.
they're going too much for real life. That's the problem.
What social anxiety? Um,
But anyways, so that's certainly a mixed bag. But let's see, what
yeah.
else have they done? You
So
know what would have been nice if they had an ordinance that said no visiting my house.
so I will talk. I think I'll start off with talking about ordinances, and you can tell me why it's not as good as in previous games. Which I'm just assuming at this point. Don't tell me now. Um, so I think it's really good because it allows you to do. So it allows people who are like have a different kind of day schedule to normal can like change when people will be about, which is nice.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Without having to change your console's time or time zone.
Yep.
The and it's there's the beautiful island one, which like your villagers will do some more weeding. Well, do some weeding and do more flower watering, which is nice. I've not really noticed not having to get weeds, so it's not
Yes.
as much as I would hope. But
Uh-huh.
um, whatever. And I can't remember the fourth one. What's the fourth one?
Bell boom. Money. You make more money
Oh
from
yeah,
selling
yeah,
things.
yeah. That's fine. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I suspect. Now you might tell me I'm wrong, but I suspect this isn't as many as they previously have had. They've maybe missed some out because that's just my assumption, and that maybe they don't do as much as they have previously. What's your thoughts on this?
Actually, no, they are the exact same four from the previous game, which was the
Okay.
first game to introduce them. I do think they do less. Like the only ones that I feel that matter are the time changers, the early bird and the night owl
Yeah.
ordinances. Um, and I think it's weird though because like a lot of things in this, I think it's just a victim of the how the development cycle played out because
Yeah.
nobody cares about money at this point because everyone made 8 million bells off the
Yeah.
turnips
Yeah.
last year.
Exactly.
And
Give
the
me a Nuke
beautiful,
Miles one.
yeah, yo, that would be, ooh, that'd be actually a really good idea. A Nook Miles like doubler or something. That would be genius, actually.
Yeah. Do it.
And the beautiful island one doesn't matter anymore because flowers don't die. If anything, that terrifies me because flowers can overtake your island so easily. Um, but so like, yeah, they just redid the same ones from the last game, which I mean they were fine in the last game because, but the way the mechanics shifted in this one, they lost a lot of value. I just did the night owl
Interesting.
one because yeah, I should play a little longer at night, but I'm happy for that. The shops stay up later. Um,
Oh, that was an awkward
yep, yep.
accidental slip there.
Moving
I'm going to cut
on.
that one out. Um, yeah, no, that's cool. Um, uh, yeah. So next, we're going to chat about the updates that you can do to your home.
Ooh, yes.
So first of all, there's some new exteriors. You can make your home look different. Um,
Accent walls. You can make one wallpaper look different.
yeah, I think the accent walls are quite cool. It's not
Very
something I'm
nice.
going to bother with, I don't think, but it's nice. I like it.
Yeah. People who have a sense for those things, I'm sure they'll make a
Yeah,
killing with it. They
yep,
got
designy
this.
people,
Yep. Ceiling furniture.
which is very cool. I honestly didn't realize there wasn't anything you could put in the ceiling
It
before
was
now,
a
but hey, it's
glaring
good that you can.
omission because we had that
Yeah,
on the 3DS. Not on the New Leaf, but on the Happy Home Designer. But
it,
anyways,
it it
um,
says a lot that when they announced that feature, I'm like, wait, it didn't already? Like that says a lot about how I play the game.
Well,
Um,
but it's here.
another storage expansion.
A lot
Um,
of
yeah,
storage
what are we up to
expansion.
now?
5,000 is the max.
5,000. So that's quite a bit.
Yep. Doubling what it
Um,
is there.
and there are few updates that you can make to your home through the DLC. We'll
Mm-hmm.
talk about how exactly you get them, but we'll um, when we talk about the DLC. But you can have pillars, you can have counters, you can have partition walls,
Mm-hmm.
and you can also customize the exteriors of your villagers' homes as well.
Yep. I think these are really good tools for, people who are
Mm,
interested in designing the interiors of their homes, because you can do a lot with all that. The partition walls,
yeah.
making a little wall inside your house in the room, and oh, it's great. That's fantastic. I can't wait to hit that stuff and play around with it.
Yeah, it's the sort of stuff that I suspect I'm not going to use very much because I'm not a very designy person.
Yeah,
But it
sure.
it leads to many more of the really great designs that people do and then share on the internet, which I love just seeing, oh wow, look at what this person did. Like
Yeah,
it's
th-
ridiculous. That
it's
I
gonna
could
be
never hope
amazing.
to do, but it's just yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Like you even just saw in the direct the number of different designs
Yeah,
that they had
yeah.
there.
They were just showing off room
Um
after room. It's like, oh man, there's so much you can do now, which is nice. Like my upstairs room in my house has a bedroom and an office side, and now I can just separate them with a nice
nice.
little wall. It'll be nice to see.
Yeah, no, really good, really good. Um, so a number of other smaller things that I've kind of grouped together. One of the biggest things that I'm really excited about is that you can have permanent ladders now.
Yeah, you mean vines? We didn't talk about that,
Well,
but
you can have you can have the vines, but you can also have like
yeah,
just normal
yeah,
ladder as
no,
well.
we didn't.
I love these because there is an area in my island that I was planning that I was like, I don't really know how to deal with this because I don't want like the steps because they're so big and it
Yeah,
just
they
will
take
feel a
up
bit.
so
It
much
doesn't
room.
it's not just that, but it wouldn't fit with the aesthetics
Sure, yeah.
of the area. And but a
Uh-huh.
ladder works perfectly. Like it's a little kind of rock garden that's also kind of like it's meant to be like an archaeological dig type
Uh-huh.
thing.
Oh,
And it's like
perfect.
actually and putting in steps just felt wrong. Like
Yeah,
why would whereas putting in these little ladders
ladders.
down
Yeah.
from the museum. So I've got the museum up top, and you come down these ladders to this archaeological dig.
Oh, that's
Just
beautiful.
perfect. Like they
Yes.
couldn't have come at a better time for that.
Yes, and you just never need to carry a ladder again because you just pop up all the ladders you need, and that's
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. So
Um,
you can have like there's so many times where I'm like, oh, you know, I've got like a hill at the back of my island, and it's like getting
mhm.
down to the bottom of that. You have to go all the way round the front and then round your hill,
Yep.
or you have to carry a ladder with you, which is always
You,
annoying.
you don't have to terraform around Red's to visit Red in the background in the back of your island.
Yes. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so that's definitely an A plus addition. Um,
Agreed.
Group stretching,
Uh yeah.
a
Just a little fun thing.
mini game thing. I haven't. Have you tried
Not
it, Al?
I have, yeah. I've not used it with the Joy Cons, but I've used it with the buttons.
Mm, I
Yeah,
uh,
it's fine.
I haven't tried. I'm sure it's just a cute little thing. I think it's really clever they did it with
It
the
is.
Joy-Cons. That's a fun little thing to actually get up and
Yeah,
do a stretch. That's cute.
yeah. But they thought about the accessibility of it as well, and they don't you
Yeah.
don't need to do that. You can use the
Yeah.
buttons instead, which is nice.
Yep.
It's the sort of thing that I'm probably not going to do very much. I'm only going to do until I've hit the max Nook Miles rewards for that, and then stop.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's fun. I get why people would like it. We got some new haircuts, which is always good. We've got some new reactions, which people like, and we got some new KK songs.
That's exciting. Cake is great.
Yeah.
His music's great. We have new we have new fences. I didn't realize that.
Yes, there are I think 7 new fences.
Oh, that's a
Quite a
lot.
lot.
Wait, how do you get them?
Including a couple that I will definitely be using for my designs because like there's a park fence which looks perfect for my park on
Ooh.
my island,
Ooh,
which
at the
previously
top.
just had like a wooden one, but it never felt like it fit well.
Yes. Oh, that's nice. And you can also customize fences now, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
More
I haven't actually
bridges.
checked. I think
Mm-hmm.
do you have to, I think you have do you have I can't remember. I'm not sure whether they're DIY kit customization kits or whether they are Reese and Cyrus, the fences. I've not checked that.
I tried. I don't know if it varies by fence or whatever. I couldn't do it with one of the basic fences that I already had.
Only some of them can be customized. They
Yeah,
can't
so
all be
that was my
customized.
guess, but I don't know. I have to find one that I can customize. So I don't know. We'll have to see. More digging required, and more digging is also required
And
for all the new bridges and inclines you can make on your island.
yep. So you can have up to 10 of each now.
That's a lot.
I mean, I still don't understand why they put a limit on it at all, right? Because, like, you're going to hit a limit naturally anyway, and it's not. I don't like if somebody wants to have 30 bridges on their island, why bother stopping them? Like, it just seems a
I don't
pointless
know.
limitation, you know?
I don't know. That's a lot of
Whatever.
bridges.
I mean, it's good that they upped the limit, but I don't see the point of
Yeah,
the
we
limit in
need
the first
bigger
place.
islands. It's a lot of bridges for a small
Well,
island.
yeah, I do really want the ability to be able to terraform by expanding your island, but I don't think we're ever going to get that.
No.
What I
But you know
really
what
want
else
is
you can
like
build?
a good way to do an archipelago, like how the Happy Home Paradise is. I want that. I want to build my island on the Happy Home Paradise
I
archipelago.
mean, yeah.
No,
Yeah, that'd be
it's
nice, wouldn't
different. It's different from what they've done, right?
Yeah.
I want my actual island on there. But we'll
Yeah.
get to the archipelago in a bit.
Let's see. What else? You can
You
put a
can
lot of
get a
stuff
storage
outside now.
box.
And the ABD, like basically anything you want you can get outside. You can access your home storage outside. The
There's
ABD, like you
one
said.
thing missing. One thing
What?
missing. That's
Ooh.
Nuke Miles Redemption.
Oh, you can't do that at the ABD? Really?
Nope. The ABD is only money.
Oh, well, that's
So out of all the things you can do in on the ABD in the thing, there's the shopping, which is an app on your phone.
yeah.
There's the money, which now you've got the ABD for, and there's the Nuke Miles Redemptions, which you can only do in there.
In the
Which
town hall one. Okay.
it's really annoying because it's like it almost defeats the purpose of having the other ones, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to have to go to the plaza every day to do these things, but I still have to go there because there's one
they
thing I have
want
to
you
do.
to.
So why would I bother? Why
Nook
would I
doesn't
bother
want you
using the
forgetting
Nuke
him,
shopping
Al.
app?
You
I
come to
don't.
Nook and pay him your respects.
It's just it seems like such a like I like you was expecting the ABD just to be the equivalent of the machine
Yeah.
in the plaza, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's literally just the money.
Yep.
Which is fine, but it's weird that you can't like why isn't there a Nuke Miles Redemption on my phone? Like I can do the Nuke shopping on my phone. I don't understand it.
Because it's Nook's name
Whatever.
on the miles, and you're gonna do it by how he wants you to do it, Al.
But it's also Nuke shopping.
Well,
Whatever. We're not going to get it clearly, but there we are. Yeah, there's more customization, as we said. You can customize
Reese and
fences,
Cyrus.
and you can customize basically anything with Reese and Cyrus. Yep, which is cool. The new camera as well. Have you tried out the new
Well,
camera?
not selfie mode, tripod mode, first person perspective mode.
Yeah, so you start it out by going like changing into handheld mode, and then you can move to where you can you're at eye level then, and you can move around, which is fun.
Yeah,
And then you turn it back into tripod mode, but camera stays where it was. It's really weird setup. I don't know why they did it that way. And then you can go in front of it and be in the picture.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's leading to loads of really fun new ways of getting pictures. Again, I've been really enjoying going through the Reddit and seeing what people are doing with their creativity, including someone there's a glitch apparently where you can like clip into the river. And someone has combined that with the first person camera mode.
Yes.
And you've got this really fun cinematic video of them going down the river from this really fun angle that you shouldn't normally get, which is really good.
That's good. That's good. Oh, I can't wait to see fun stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not
I
too
love
big.
people's creativity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can't wait to see stuff like that too. And speaking of creativity, you can express it more because you can put your patterns on flooring, wallpaper, more clothing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Just just
Yeah.
everything. You make a pattern, put it wherever you want now, pretty much, basically.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm never going to use, but I very much enjoy because people can do crazy things and I can go and look at what they did, which is always
That's
good fun.
Yep. It's a lot. It's a lot. That's good. But I think
Yeah. Yeah. Do we want to talk anything else about the update before we go into the DLC? Because obviously they are very separate, other than obviously the home updates that are exclusive to having
yeah.
added the DLC.
I don't
Any other thoughts on that?
not I mean not really. I mean like, I haven't time traveled, so I still have a lot more to explore and experience.
Yeah.
But it's it's been good. Um
It's a big update.
it's a big update, certainly. It's a lot. Like I said, I
Like I
feel
know
like
I
they
know
addressed everything.
yeah, I know we were saying for a while that they clearly have an update and we think
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be big because it's been so long. I still wasn't expecting it to be this big. Like it's like a pro. I know it's the 2.0 update. I know it's clearly big, but it is big.
It's it feels like Animal Crossing just finally released. Um
Well, I mean, that's a whole other discussion that
yeah.
I'm not really in the mood to have, let's be
Yeah, I
honest.
know, but
I don't it's the constant argument that we've had for the last 10 years and
yeah.
we're probably going to keep going having forever, when is a game released and when are just like extra
Yeah.
additions. I don't really care. Look,
Yeah, I know. I'm just
it's
joking, but the point is that it
no,
feels
you're
fully.
joking, but it's based on something.
Yeah, I know. The key takeaway I'm trying to make is it feels a lot more complete now. The whole game. It's a full. There's a lot just more to do. It
Yeah.
feels like a fuller experience, which is great. So yeah, there's
Yeah, I will
something
say
for
that I
everybody.
think that
Mm-hmm.
as much as I understand the kind of issue with like, oh, maybe they should have waited until this point, there is something fun about like, here's this massive update. Now we're all back into the game because it does feel like everybody's back on the game,
That it does.
Whereas if all this came at the beginning, we wouldn't have had that. We would have gone through what we did, and then that would have been it, right? We wouldn't have come back to it.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, that is true. That is nice that it's everyone's back in. And I'm very excited to see what everyone's gonna do with all these creativity options, like you said. But
Yeah.
good job, Animal Crossing. You're done good. Um,
Cool. Let's talk about Happy Home Paradise, the DLC. So I've not played a huge amount of this,
yes,
um, but from what I understand, is it's just more of that designy stuff. You kind of go and somebody wants a holiday home, and you go and make them their holiday home. Is
yes.
that about right?
So, okay, are you familiar with Happy Home Designer, the spin-off
Only
quote
in
unquote
so
game?
much as like, oh, so it's kind of basically the same idea, right? You have a villager and they want a home and they tell you what they want and you do that.
Right,
And there's like some level of creativity presumably within that, but you have to hit like these certain points. Kind of
right.
like, I guess, on a very simple level, like when you start New Horizons, you have to do that for the first three plot or the first five plots or something, I think. Where they're like, oh, I want a chair and a whatever and a whatever
Yeah. Actually, it is a
before I
lot.
come to your,
Yes,
but just on a
exactly.
much bigger scale, obviously.
Yes, exactly. So if anyone's ever played Happy Home Designer, this DLC is just Happy Home Designer, like almost one for one. It's just like installed into New Horizons now. Um, like it's almost feels for somebody like me who's played Happy Home Designer, it feels almost bare bones with how almost the same it is. Um,
Interesting.
it's basically free mode for Animal Crossing. Um, because I know that's the premise that a villager comes and wants a house and asks you, but the requirement is only, like you mentioned, when you build the island, only like three little pieces of furniture or something. Um, but then after that, you can design their whole house, their yard, the whole interior, exterior, everything, and you have a whole big catalog. Basically, you can access anything and everything, um, regardless to whatever you actually own or have owned on your main island or account or whatever. It's basically sandbox mode for Animal Crossing. People who like to decorate houses, well, now you can just go ham and decorate a whole bunch of them. Um,
Yeah.
and that's certainly an itch a lot of people I think have. Especially in because of,
Yeah,
the
without
huge.
having to completely tear down and rebuild their house every time they want to do it.
Exactly, right? And you can do a whole bunch of them. So, but that's kind of it, to be honest. Which, it isn't a knock against it necessarily, because it is definitely, caters to some people. But if that doesn't sound appealing to you, like just designing houses, there's pretty much nothing here for you. Um,
Yeah.
you do get some stuff that carries over, like we mentioned. You unlock some stuff, functions you can do in your own home on the main island, and there is items you can purchase exclusive through the DLC, furniture, etc. But that's relatively minor, because the main thing is just the activity. And to be clear, I enjoy this because I am the kind of person who just enjoys designing the houses, unlimited.
Yeah.
Just I visualize it. I don't have to worry about collecting anything or hunting down furniture or spending time or
Yeah.
whatever. Just bam, there's that game house I wanted to make. Um, and yeah. Um, you I know you can do the amiibo stuff and invite certain NPCs and villagers and whatnot, to do it for them as well. But honestly, that's all kind of irrelevant. The actual character doesn't matter. It's just designing a house, really.
Okay.
Um,
See, I thought I had got the implication that it was actually like you're building it based on their specification rather than like just they exist and
well,
oh you're doing this. That's
okay.
interesting.
Well, here's the thing, right? So like, the first house I was given on this DLC, right? They said they wanted a reading room, quote unquote, and they gave me three pieces of
Right.
furniture, like a chair, a bookshelf, and a stack of books, I think, right? So the only actual requirement to proceed is adding the three furniture they requested. I could drop those three
Okay.
furniture, say I'm done, and bam. There's no grading system, no feedback, no nothing.
Oh, I
So
like this.
so you could just drop those three items and bam, you're done. You could walk out. There's your dream home. Now, obviously, like for someone like me who enjoys, designing and stuff like
Hmm.
that, it's like, okay, I spent time, I added more bookshelves, I added more furniture that matches, changed the walls, all everything, right? The whole kit and caboodle. You could be also someone totally chaotic and say, okay, here's your chair, your books, and now I'm just gonna add, I don't know, a whole bunch of construction equipment in your whole house, and nobody's
Uh-huh.
gonna care or say anything. Um,
That's interesting.
yeah. So that's what I
I don't
said.
know whether this I can't
Hmm.
tell in my head whether this is a whether that's a good or a bad thing. Um, in a way, it's kind of good because allows you a lot of freedom
Yeah.
leads to more of this fun designy stuff that we're going to get, which I love to see. But in a way, it's kind of sad because it kind of adds to the whole your most disappointing aspect of it, which is they feel very 2D characters, right?
Yeah.
No, not
Yeah.
even two one-dimensional characters, right? They kind of just exist and that's it.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like I said, all this was present in the original Happy Home Designer game. It is a little, like I said, it's tough to say. I'm a little torn as well, because yeah, it's nice to have just that complete sandbox freedom, do whatever you want. But because it's separate, honestly, like the character thing doesn't bother me. I guess because in Happy Home Designer it was the same thing. The character didn't really matter. It was just designing a space. If anything, I think this might turn off a lot of people. There, I hate to get into this terminology muck, but it's not. It doesn't feel gamey at points. Like there's no objectives or very minimal progression, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You get in there. It's a blank canvas to paint an Animal Crossing picture, and that's kind of it. Um,
I mean, doesn't that fit in very well with the rest of this game?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it certainly does with Animal Crossing, but like the way they present it to you for this whole DLC, like that they ask you to do stuff, you would expect maybe a little more. Like it would be fun to maybe get graded on stuff, see how well you did match an
Yeah.
aesthetic, or something like that.
Even
Or
even if it was the same way that the Happy Home Academy currently works with your own house,
yeah, exactly, something
where
like that, right?
it's not the most in depth, but you at least get a number.
Exactly, that would be fun to see, right? See if you can get a
Yeah.
high score or something like that, right? I don't know, something like that. But no, it's just you go in, you drop, like I said, three pieces of furniture, and I believe it's three for no matter what job request you do, and then that's kind
Right.
of it. After that, just whatever you want to do. Um,
Interesting.
so it is a good experience, but it's just like for a very specific experience in that sense.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of all it is. I think I just feel more shocked by how much, how like I said, how little they added from Happy Home Designer, because everything I'm talked about right now is my thoughts pretty much one for one from Happy Home Designer. And like at least that
Right.
was on a separate cartridge under a separate title. Like sure they were experimenting, and I imagine they were going to take that and maybe build on it a little, but it really doesn't feel like they built on it too much. But
Okay.
mm, eh, it's there, and like I said, for all my grumbling, I am still enjoying it. It's fun to make a little paint, do all sorts of different houses and come up with ideas.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I suspect my plan with it is do what I need to do to get the extra updates,
Yeah.
like the pillars and counters and stuff, and then probably that'll be it. Which is actually interesting. Why I think that the inclusion within the expansion pack for me is really nice because I was going to do that for a year anyway, and
Yeah.
then I probably won't touch the DLC after this year anyway, so I don't have to buy the DLC and I still get all the stuff I want from it.
Yeah, that's a whole discussion on its own and something very interesting because,
Yeah.
this is it is a whole separate game really. And
Hmm.
that $25 probably isn't going to be worth it to a lot of people like you. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
are going to be like you who just want to hit those mile or maybe maybe play it a little bit or whatever and hit those milestones and unlock the stuff on their island
Yeah.
and kind of be done with it. I mean, like
I certainly wouldn't have been buying it if it was a separate game. I'm only going to access it the way it is because
yeah.
of the integration with the other game, which is
Yeah.
very limited, but it's a thing. And what I think they've done it really nicely, that aspect of it, where if you unlock that stuff and then you don't have the DLC, you still get access to that stuff, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And it's funny, it's interesting to look at this because I'm on the flip side here where I don't have the expansion and paying the $50, but I bought the DLC separately because I
Yeah,
might do this down the road because it is something when I fire up Animal Crossing, it's something if I wanted just a distraction, like I'm tired of my dailies or whatever, I can just go build a house or whatever. And I can always have access to that, so that's nice. But yeah, it's interesting. It would be, what would have been really nice if they'd done like a little trial demo for everybody. Um, just have like design one or two houses and then keep the rest behind the paid wall just to give people a
yeah,
taste to see what it's like.
yeah, yeah. That might be nice.
Eh, But oh well. I mean, overall, it's a net positive. What I okay, I'm getting to speculative. Well, do you have anything else you want to add? Because I'm gonna get off the rails here.
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah,
I think we've kind of covered what I want to
yeah.
cover on that.
I mean, so overall, like I think everyone, us and everyone on the internet is overwhelmingly happy, I think, with all this update and the DLC for Animal Crossing. They did great, I
Hmm.
think. And I guess what's interesting is, and I think I don't know if you've talked about this on the podcast before, but I'm wondering if they're still gonna do more. Um, because they said that'll be the last
Yeah. So
free update.
So I believe that wording was misleading in that they came out with an interview later on and actually said no, that is the last.
Oh,
There
that's
won't be
it.
another DLC
Oh,
either.
no more DLC. Darn it.
Because yeah, I had the same. I had the same thought. I was like, "Ooh, it wasn't just they said the last free update. They said the last major free update." And so that sent my wheels spinning. But no, apparently
Mm,
they had an interview with someone, maybe Nintendo Life, where they
hmm.
said they clarified that no, that's it.
That's it.
Other than some bug fixes, which they almost
Sure.
certainly will, because there's currently a horrific bug where if you uh,
You
It's
played?
not that bad because it doesn't have permanent things. But if you have your gates open and you have had the DLC, so you can customize your villagers' homes, it will let you do that while your gates are open, which mucks everything up.
Yeah.
Um,
So don't
so
do
yeah, I
that.
suspect there'll be some bug fixes, but yeah, I'm not expecting anything else really. But
Well, okay. I'm back on the rails. Um, all right. Well, I guess that's it. I think we did it. We finally defeated Animal Crossing
yeah,
after 4 episodes.
yeah. Well, how long till the next one?
Eh,
Um,
Well, when they announce the Switch Pro next year, we can start speculating.
I mean, it is an interesting, legitimate question, right? Because New Leaf came out in 2012 and New Horizons came out last year. Now, I'm not expecting
Yeah.
anything soon, but like that was the longest time period between major ones. Like
Yeah.
between Wild World and City Folk, there was only 3 years. Um,
Yeah, but we also did get Welcome Amiibo. Yeah, the Welcome Amiibo update. No,
Amiibo Festival.
no, not Amiibo Festival. I'm talking about the update because New Leaf had a
Oh, the
similar
update, right? Okay,
update.
that's true.
That was
That's
just
true.
as major. I don't remember what year, but
Yeah,
it was somewhere in between them, and it really felt like a game on its own as well. Um,
yeah.
but
Yeah, I'm certainly not expecting any announcements or anything next year.
no,
I think it's an interesting. Apparently, that was 2016,
yeah,
which was
about the halfway
basically
point, right?
halfway
Yeah,
between New Leaf and New Horizons.
yeah,
So if that's the same, if this update is halfway between, we've got another year and a half to go. I guess
exactly.
nearly 2 years. But I don't know, 2 years. So that would take us to nearly the end of 2023. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens anyway. I could possibly see them doing like instead of another DLC or another update, doing a new game that's very much based on this one, but in a different setting or something like that. It's like not very different as a game, but
Hmm.
it's not on an island.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just throwing out random ideas.
which is what we do best on the harvest season.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, thank you very much for joining me to talk about Animal Crossing yet again.
Thank you for inviting me
It's
out.
been good to have you. Thank you, listeners, for listening. Kevin, where can people find you on the internet?
Primarily on Twitter at CooperPrez for my personal Twitter, which I'm primarily just retweeting other people's more clever and entertaining things, or at Spriter Squared, which is my art account. I make pixel art. I have been active actually in the past few months, which is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check that out. What about you, Al? Where can people find more if they want more harvest season content?
Yes. Well, you can find me on Twitter at thescottbot. If you really want to follow my nonsense. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at THSPod. Primarily retweeting news as and when it happens. If you want a preview of what's happening in the episode news section, you just follow the Twitter and see the retweets. Um, you can email us, as I said at the top of the episode, from our website, harvestseason.club, where you can also access everything else you need to there, including our Patreon, which has a number of benefits.
Like the
So you can get that
greenhouse,
there, like the
paid,
greenhouse, which
exclusive, amazing podcast
is
where we go off the rails.
another fortnightly episode, which is just about random stuff that we think about. Hopefully there'll be one next week.
Yes,
We
where
haven't
we
figured that
go
one out yet,
in
though.
depth into cryptocurrency. No. Instead, it's a full episode voiced only by Chris Pratt. Um,
Anyway, thank you all for listening.
and
Thank
find
you
out if
again,
that's
Kevin, for
true or
joining
not.
us.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, listener.
Honestly, if I've spent money to get Chris Pratt, I've wasted all your money. Uh,
It was a long con.
and until next time, have a good harvest.
Have a good harvest. Bye.
The Harvest Season is created by Rochelle Delaney and Al McKinley, with support from our Pro Farmer Level patrons, Kevin and Stuart. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode. Thanks for listening.
Let's talk about
Hammy,
Happy
Hammock,
Home Paradise.
Happy Hammock Paradise.
The
That's where
the
Al wants to be.
DLC